Hey guys, and welcome to another edition of No Limits with Kristen Andre. I'm here with the marvelous Miss Mendoza, and we're glad to be back with you. We had what should we say, Whitney? Unexpected week off yesterday, last week.
Yes.
Yeah, so we had an interesting time. We got ready to go live. I posted this on my personal page for those of you guys who don't know. And we have no idea around some animals, outside something, some crazy allergic reaction, and we decided not to scare you guys because as soon as we logged in and started looking at the video, it was a pretty frightening sight with this face. So I am slathered up with makeup today, so we're gonna get through it. So we, sorry about that week off, but we got some good stuff for you. So Whitney, thanks for being patient.
No problem. You look great, by the way.
Oh, really? Thanks. Well, I've got, extra dose of makeup and I'm highly medicated. So you got to love the allergies when they hit.
I mean, that's what us ladies do for one another. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you're not going to like that.
I think we might want to take a break from this. So it happens. So what can you do? But, so that was kind of for me last week. And I posted about this on my personal Facebook page too last night. So all you guys that reached out, thank you so much. It was just a crappy week. It was one of those weeks where it was like, so I figured out that for so many of us that this has been a cruddy year. I mean, there's some great things coming out of it and great opportunities coming out of this, but at the same time, some people have had it rough. So that's what Whitney and I decided to talk about today is 5 ways to redeem 2020. Because I think even if things are going decent, there's just a lot going on right now that's tough for people. So we want to just talk about how we can redeem it, what we can do to kind of make the rest of the year, because as crazy as it sounds, we're not even halfway through 2020 yet.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's just, I don't know about you, but that's kind of like, it's a little frightening to think that we've still got more than 6 months left in the year.
Yeah.
Frightening and at the same time.
Yeah, and that's part of this is that, yeah, we're nowhere close to December, everyone. We still got a little ways to go.
We do. So how has the year been going for you guys? Because I know y'all are back in the studio now. I'm still working at home, but you guys are back in the studio. So how is it? Has the 2020 redemption started for you yet?
I think we're headed there. There's a lot going on that's factored into why this year has been tough. So there are some of those things that are still happening, but personally for us, really, it seems like traffic is starting to pick up, business is starting to pick up. We're excited to be back in the studio, so we're getting there. But also it's still in our mind of there are still a lot of people out there that have lost their jobs and they haven't gone back yet.
Yeah, there are a ton, and I've talked with people in different industries and different things, and there's more layoffs being expected. I know, Delta announced that they're doing a lot of layoffs, and that's, local to Atlanta. So a lot of people here are going to be affected, and it's challenging. And we realized, everybody listening, some people are in a really good spot and others aren't. And that was part of the purpose of my post yesterday is just be kind. I mean, sometimes we just never know what somebody's going through. I tend to stay pretty positive online. I'm very selective in who I share my struggles with. Honestly, it sounds crazy. People are like, you're not showing your real you. And I'm like, I've got, my personal page, when you have a few thousand followers, a lot of times you just don't want anybody's opinion unless they don't know you personally or your situation. So
right.
I want to talk about more in general terms. So I love that. And I see a lot of you guys popping on already. But let us know what you're struggling with and your ideas for redeeming it. But Whitney and I have 5 things that we want to talk about that we think are ways that could redeem 2020. And the first one is to kind of find your cause or a passion project, something that is exciting to you that you can pour yourself into. Because I feel like a lot of times right now we need some distractions. When crazy stuff is going on around us, we can get sucked into that. I mean, not that it's a bad thing. There are causes, and the causes could be the things going on around us. It could be, advocating for, healthcare with the virus. It could be pouring yourself into racism and trying to combat that. So whatever it is, I feel like finding a cause or a passion, personally or professionally, is one way to get your mind off of just the endless 24/7 news cycle. What have you been doing, Whitney? What's your kind of passion project lately?
Yeah, no, I love this. So we've had some personal things that we've been doing around the house, but also something that Isaac and I have talked about that we haven't landed on the what yet, but we know that we want to do something to give back to families in our community. Some way, somehow, we want to find a way, a thing to give back directly to families that are basically in our own neighborhoods.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good thing to do, because there's so many people, and I have friends that give back globally and have some nonprofits that are based around the world and some that work more locally. But I think it's, I've talked about my church a lot on here. I attend North Point with Andy Stanley. And one of the things that Andy always says when he's trying to figure out how to help people give back or what their give back should be is he always says, what breaks your heart? What is it that breaks your heart that you really want to pour into, or you want to be able to help find a solution for? And I think that's critical in today's world, especially, is there's a lot going on that can break our hearts, and we can't solve everything. We can help, but we can't solve everything. So we need to work at what it is that we're passionate about that breaks our heart and kind of pouring that. And I think that's the first step in redeeming 2020, is figuring out what's a cause or a passion project I can get behind right now.
I love that. Yeah. And it also helps, and I can speak for me to be less selfish, to think of all the ways that we are blessed and then be able to give that blessing back, right? Like even Isaac and I have been running outside because COVID and ice cream did not make a good combination.
Yes,
and I don't like running. I can do like treadmill, elliptical. I'd rather do weights, but like running is just not my jam. And part of kind of what gets me through that is I turn it into a thing that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that I can run, because there are many out there who can't, and they'd give anything to be able to run like I do.
I think that's a great attitude. Running is not my strong suit either. So typically if I'm running, there is something chasing me. I mean, they're flexing. There's something chasing. You need to call someone. But it's true. I mean, we really think about that. I'll try to get out and walk. Running, my knees just they're not a fan. But there's so many things that we could get behind. So whatever the cause is, the passion project, it could be charitable and philanthropic. It could be fitness related. It could be something you're doing in your business. I've got some cool new things coming out. Actually this week and next week, we got the book coming out next month. So I feel like having those things, those projects that you can dive into. And I'd love you guys that are watching to comment and let us know, what are you diving into right now? What's kind of, I don't want to say taking your mind off, but what's allowing you to kind of keep pushing forward? Because I think having a project allows us to kind of move forward. It keeps us from being stagnant. And stagnant right now is a tough place to be. Really tough place to be.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Tommy says staying disciplined while working from home. That's another thing too, is that we've gained back a lot of time. And so this has been a really great time to kind of, we've even mentioned it on the show before, really focusing on what you want to focus on, what needs your attention, but then also not going back to the things that maybe you don't really need in life.
Yeah. And I think that's critical. And actually Tommy's point about staying focused leads us into the second way to redeem ourselves, which is protecting yourself and your time. And I feel like, working from home is new. I've worked from home for a long time. I think it's new for a lot of people. And what I've found, and even with my experience working from home, I'll get where I don't turn it off. My dad said to me last week, he's like, you've got to turn it off. Like, you need to have a set time that you're done. So I've started, I'm a big advocate of time blocking. I've talked about that on the show before, but I'm trying to start where I've got a block of time that I'm working on something, because if not, I'll just keep going. And I think one of the ways to kind of redeem 2020 is so many people that I talk to are feeling they're just tired, mentally, physically, emotionally. So if we can protect our time and make sure that we're taking time for ourselves and some self-care during the midst of all this, that's going to be better as we go into this back half of 2020.
Yeah, and it's not a selfish thing, right? If you're not taking care of yourself, even more so, I feel like we've realized during this time, is if you're not taking care of yourself, then it's super, super hard to take care of anyone else, because you get burned out, and then it's like trying to pull a train up a mountain.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. And it's everybody shows up differently. And, my family and closest friends will attest to this. When I've hit my wall, when I am stressed to the max and just worn out, I am not nice. I am mean. I am just, I'm not this sweet little bubbly Southern girl that you would hope I would be. It's tough and it's hard sometimes for people to get that. So I feel like, I know when I start getting kind of over the top mean or tough or harsh, then I've got to take a step back. I don't always recognize it. Sometimes people have to point it out, but that's when I have to take a step back and say, okay, what am I doing for me? What am I doing to kind of lower the water level? Because I think with stress and with things like that, we get where we have a water level and it rises and it rises. And if it gets to the point where you're treading water, the only thing, you can't keep treading water forever. The only thing you can do is to lower that water level. So if you're, 6 feet tall and you're standing in 6 feet of water, you're treading. So we've got to lower the water level. And the only way to do that is to protect your time and to focus on some self-care, whatever that looks like, whether it's exercise, naps. I've had a lot of people say, man, I'm taking naps for the first time in forever. It could be massages. It could be whatever works for you. For some people, it's creative outlets, writing, art. I have my friend Lynn's an artist, and I'm sure painting, I think that just would be so cool to be able to paint and to be able to just do something creative. So I feel like protecting your time and taking self-care, proactive self-care is going to be a great way to help redeem 2020.
Yeah. I did a lot of reading.
Reading's great.
Yes. Yeah. That was one of my favorite parts, is that I had so much time on my hands to read. And I'm already getting a little bit busy, and I'm like, I got to find that time. I got to protect that time so that I can keep reading.
You were doing a lot of reading. So Whitney was one of my beta readers for the book we have coming out in July. So it was cool. So thank you for that. So
I enjoyed it. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I'll post it later. We made a decision on the cover. So
yay, nice.
I know we took it to a vote, and I got, oh my gosh, just hundreds of comments and feedback, and it was really cool. So it was, nice. What was funny is the one that we ended up picking, the one that most everybody picked, was the one that my gut and my heart was drawn to in the first place. So I was super happy. So it was kind of cool to see that. But I think just things like that, things that just make you feel good.
Yeah. All right, I know which one you picked now. Just from saying that, I know exactly.
Well, don't say it out loud. I'll post it later.
Yeah, I won't, but I know.
It was fun though, but that was and that honestly, that gets into our third tip. So our third way to read. So we had finding your cause or passion projects, number 1, protecting yourself and your time is number 2, and number 3 is, this is something I think that's fun. And Whitney, was your idea. List out top 3 things that make you happy. 3 things, whatever they are. It could be a person, a thing, an activity. List out 3 things that make you happy and do more of that. Because I feel like our schedules, we have time right now. I was having this conversation yesterday with a fellow coach that I know, and, we were just talking about time. Time is an excuse for everybody. It's like, I don't have time.
Yep.
Everyone has time. Everyone has time for whatever they want to do. So I want you to physically write down 3 things that make you happy. Write it down right now. Post it in the comments. Do whatever. And let's all commit to doing more of that. So it's something, we get a choice in all this. We get a choice in how we spend our time. So if you're choosing to do things that aren't making you happy, no wonder things are frustrating and we feel like, oh my gosh, we're so underwater. So I'm curious. I mean, what are things that make you happy? What were your 3?
Yeah. In my revelation of this, the biggest thing for me was that it's not necessarily the things that you would think it would be. So while I enjoy going on trips, that was not one of my top 3. It was really simple things like the time to read, spending time with the dog Sweet Pea and my husband Isaac, getting in the kitchen and making guacamole and having coffee nights and coffee chats and all those small things that, because we were forced inside, it opened up that time to really reconnect. And that's what I realized out of this, is all the things that make me happy, they don't really require money or anything like that. It's really the simple things.
And I think that happens for a lot of people. It's the things, either the simple things or the things we're not taking time for. Like I've talked about my friend group. I have several different friend groups, but one of the things I've figured out in this quarantine, and I've joked about it, I'm not as extroverted as I thought I was. I think everybody would classify me as an uber extrovert. And what I realized when I've had more time at home is I was, I can't say I'm calmer, but because I'm definitely stressed, but I like my downtime. I really like my downtime. So one of the things that I know makes me happy is quiet, is sitting I'll go weeks without turning on the TV. I did binge watch a Netflix show that my friend Shelby turned me on to. So I did do that. That was fun. And I never watched TV. But, I think when I list out the things that make me happy, it's conversations. I love having conversations with people. I'm not a superficial, surfacey conversation type of person. Can't stand it, which is why I hate going to networking. So, as I'm thinking about the things that make me happy, it's just good conversations. It's whether it's over the phone or in person, while having a glass of wine, or text conversations. I love conversations. And so I'm trying to make it more of an effort to reach out to people and to just, have those conversations. And that was because that's one of the things that make me happy. And surprisingly, I've been doing a little bit more cooking. And I do not cook. Like if my kids are watching this, they'd be like, excuse me, we're doing what? But it's just taking time to sit down. I've always ate on the go. I would, because I've got a busy schedule. So I always fix something and just eat as we go. And now that I'm home more, I've had more time to kind of actually make a meal and enjoy a meal, which has been, it sounds silly. Like you said, it's a basic thing, but it's, it's different. And let's see, we've got some comments. Kim said she's journaling. I love journaling, writing and speaking. Wendy. Miriam says having time makes her happy. Oh my gosh, yeah, it does, because we have so much more time now than we did before. So, I would encourage all of you guys to list out the 3 things that make you happy and do it. Put them in your schedule, no matter how small they are. Reading a book, listening to music. One of the things I've been doing that's kind of goofy, it's getting hotter, so we'll see, and it's been raining a lot in Atlanta. I like to just get in my car, put the top down. I have a convertible, put the top down, and just drive around listening to music. I think people look at me like I'm a fool, but it's just so, I may not even go anywhere. I may just drive around, because just something about being outside and moving around and just, having the music play, I think is cool. So it can be super simple things like that don't have to cost a lot or take a lot of time.
Less really is more.
Less really is more. I think it's caused me to simplify things a little bit, because I feel like, all of us try to live so big. And, this is another conversation I had with a friend of mine that does really, and he does really embrace the less is more mentality, and the, let's live simply, just, be good to people, don't have any debt, live within your means, but give back. We can all do these things, but I think we kind of got to a point where, as a society, where we were focused on the big and the grand and everything like that. And we haven't really taken time to think about just the simple things that make life good. Conversations, sunsets, water, drives in the car, anything like that. So I want you guys to think through these and really try to figure out what you could do, because I think that's going to be critical moving forward, is that we find our happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And part of it too was the things that COVID kind of took away for a while, right? Like, my grandmother's hugs and my grandmother's cooking. I always knew it was special, but like now I'm like Father's Day, right? We had squash casserole, and I was just like, this is the best squash casserole I've ever had in my life, because I had to go without for like 3 months.
Yeah, but it does make you think about kind of what's important, and that's why we wanted to talk about this topic, is because regardless of the amount of stress we're all under, and a lot of us are under a lot of it, I still want to make sure that we find time for this. And this was a big reminder for me, because I will tell you, the last couple of weeks, I have not been taking time for my happy. I have been just underwater. So it's, besides some swollen face, there's all kind of other stuff going on where you just got to take time for this. And I think if the more we can slow down and think, and, I said this when this whole pandemic started, this is a pause. This isn't, I personally think God's like, all right, we're going to hit pause for a minute, let you guys figure a few things out. And if we come out of this, we're talking about ways to redeem 2020, but if we don't focus on how we come out of this better, and I'm not talking about have written a book, learned a language, anything like that, but better as people, kinder as people, happier as people. That's what we need to do moving forward to be able to redeem this back half of this year.
I love it. So good.
So that's the third one, 3 things. So the fourth one, and this can, you guys know I have a background in the financial services industry. So one of the things I want to make sure, the fourth way to redeem it is prepare for the future. And I'm going to talk specifically about the financial piece. Coming into this, I have friends and family members and myself and anybody that are all different ends of the spectrum. Some of them have 0 debt, tons in savings. Financially, they were not stressed. I have the other end of the spectrum that were leveraged to the hilt, living paycheck to paycheck, and then lost their job. That adds a high degree of stress. So one of the things I would say as you're coming forward, if you have not already, and even if you have, recheck it. Between now and the end of the year, if you're going to redeem this year, I want you to prepare for the future. To me, that means a couple things. First and foremost, financially, make sure if you haven't already that you have met with your financial advisor or a financial counselor, anything like that, to make sure that you're taking the appropriate steps and that you're set up. So if something like this happens again, finances aren't one of the things that stress you out. This has been a challenge to me, forever. And, especially with the industry I'm in. So making sure that you set yourself up for the future financially. But I also want you to set yourself up for the future in that you're looking at kind of what your goals are and doing a recheck as to, am I on the path I want to be on, moving forward? Are my goals, is my profession, is my friend group, everything? Are we on the path that we want to for the future? So I think we've got an opportunity to plan. I'm a planner, that's kind of my gig, but we all have an opportunity to do that. And if you're not proactively looking at that now, I think it's going to make the second half of the year a little bit tougher.
Yeah, that's so good. And if I may, I'm going to read a little bit of this that I drew inspiration from Mark Mason, who wrote The Art of Not Giving an F.
I love that book.
So good. It's so good.
So good. Definitely good.
He said, we tend to emotionally overreact in the short term and underreact in the long term.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, that is so true. Because to your point, Kristen, if we look at the events that have happened in 2020 and don't change or don't prepare for the future and just view it as a thing that we overcame,
yes,
we're missing the point. Missing it. Something will happen again. No, could we have planned for COVID? Did it necessarily have a name? Okay, Simpsons, maybe. But something else will happen again that you're not going to see, another nameless thing. And if you don't plan for it, it's going to kind of be like COVID all over again.
It totally is. And that's one thing, like you're right. We could not have expected this. We could have planned for it. And I'm as guilty. I was not as prepared for this as I would have liked to have been, for sure. But it does make me think, okay, what do I need to get in order? How do I need to, personally, professionally, financially, what things do I need to have in order? So I'm prepared going forward, because I'll tell you, I've got a few friends right now who are like, this is great. I don't have a care. I'm kind of getting some time off. Finances are good and they're loving it. And it's not I won't say loving it, but they definitely are able to enjoy the little things and do the things that are making them happy because of the preparation they did in the past. And it's, it is short-term stuff. It freaks you out. So if we've got to take a longer term view with things. Yeah. And I think so many, I've had these conversations with my daughters. So many of us, and especially, I'm not trying to stereotype, but a lot of the younger generation, especially kids, immediate gratification. What can I do right now to feel better right now? what can I buy right now to make me look better right now? And I think that's gotten a lot of people into trouble. So the hope is that, as you're going forward, start thinking a little bit longer term. Like with my kids, I'd always say, if they wanted a bigger item, I say, well, let's think on it. Let's, if that's what you really want to use your savings for, then, let's wait a week or wait a few days and let's think if you still want it this much. It's the shiny bike you all see at the store when you go. So finding time to prepare for the future and getting help with this. I'll say, as a coach, I'm very big on planning, but it's hard to do yourself. And what I mean by that is, while I can write down some goals, the strategies I need to hit them, the accountability I need to have in place to make sure I'm really prepared to execute on my plan for the future is tough to do by yourself. So, I have a coach that I work with. I have therapists that I work with. I have, tons of people that help me. So I have a financial advisor that I work with. So as you're planning, pull in the people that you need. Pull in an advisor, pull in a coach, pull in a best friend that knows you inside and out, that can help you plan, because that's going to be critical as we move forward.
Yeah. Gives new meaning to plan for the rainy day. We know what a rainy day looks like now.
Oh my God. And this has been a freaking thunderstorm, right? It's true. So we hear it and we all say it, but I work so much in the financial industry that I see so many stats and things. And my friend Meredith, who's a phenomenal financial advisor, she posted the other day, I think the stat she posted was 25% of Americans have zero saved for retirement. 25%. And, we think about that and we're like, holy cow. So there's so many people, there is a responsibility each of us have on our own that we need to address this. But we also, can't assume that everybody thinks that way or that everybody knows that. So that's kind of where we're putting this out there, is that I want to make sure, if you haven't already, no guilt or judgment if you haven't, but if you haven't already, stopped to think about the future and how you can plan and prepare for that future. I want you to take some time to do that and reach out to the people that you need that could help you.
Yep.
I got a ton of great financial advisors in my network. So, there's and same thing with coaches and things like that. So let us know what resources you need and we'll try to get some people on there, or what challenges you're having with that. And we'll bring some people on to help talk about it. All right. So that's 4. We got finding your cause or passion project, protecting yourself and your time. Number 3 was listing the top things that make you happy. Number 4 was preparing for the future. And number 5, be courageous and stand strong. Be courageous and stand strong. Because I feel, all of us have had moments where, maybe more than one, where we just were like, we felt weak and defeated and everything. So I think moving into this back half of the year, and we've got a week until we're in July, we're in the second half of the year, a week from now. So just make sure you're stepping up and being able to say, all right, I got this. The one thing I want you to say is, I got this. And, I was thinking through this with the crappy week I've had the last week, is I'm trying to think of a phrase that just kind of was good. And I don't know if it's, I got this, or I'm good, or, and sometimes I may not be, but I feel like you've got to stand up and say, I got this. Yeah. I'm going to plow through and stay strong and just keep going.
Yeah.
So what do you say to yourself? What's your kind of self-talk, if you will?
Yeah. So when we went through this list, one of the things that came to my mind, and you may totally get this quote better than I will, Kristen, because it's a Dolly Parton quote.
Oh, my Dolly. I love my Dolly. Okay.
So she has a quote, right, that's essentially, know who you are and be that. I feel like she's...
Quote. I'm going to have to look. Oh,
okay.
My girl. For those of you who don't know, Dolly is my spirit animal. I love Dolly Parton. I love the fact that she is just her and out there. And, that's my coach and I were talking about, I need a name for kind of like when I'm showing up as my full self. And that's it. Dolly's my name.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know that though.
Okay. I'm going to find it because I'm pretty certain she's got something along those lines. But that's what I thought about in this is know who you are and be that. And that means it's not so easy for someone to come along and make you change your mind about who you are. If you know who you are and you're firm in that, it should be now. And I'm not talking about, being closed mindset. I'm talking about being very open and having the ability to examine the world around you. But when you make a decision about something, or that there's something that you need to do for you, or, that passion project, when everyone's looking at you going, why are you doing that? But because if you're not strong in yourself and someone says that to you, you're going to go, well, why am I doing that? And question it. And we can't question ourselves like that.
No, we can't. And all right. So if anybody's listening and knows that quote or wants to Google real quick and look it up, let us know, because I'm curious on that, but it's so true. And I'm a very loud and direct and, kind of opinionated person, I guess we would say. And, I've had this conversation with several friends, and that's a chapter in the book about rounding out your edges. And for so long, I kind of tried to be a little softer, a little quieter. I mean, I grew up in the South in the 70s and 80s, so I was always told, be seen and not heard. And so that's how I always thought. So as you get older and you start to kind of step out a little bit, there is a freedom and embracing who you are, but there is also kind of a scariness to us. And I think that's where the courageousness comes from.
Okay, Wendy. Okay, we got 2 comments. Number 1, Wendy found our Dolly quote.
Thank you, Wendy.
And it's much better than what I said. Find out who you are and do it on purpose.
Oh, I like that. Dolly, my girl.
See, I told you she said it better than I did.
I love that. I love that. And she's, here's what I like, and it sounds silly, you guys. When I was thinking and talking with, my coach Lisa about trying to figure out, kind of who I am when I stand up, what personifies that. That's who kept popping into my head, because she is unapologetically herself. She is louder. She is, this big personality, and she's just out there. But at the same time, and I've listened to a lot of interviews with her. I've heard, there's a podcast called Dolly Parton's America, which is kind of cool with some little known facts about her. One thing I appreciate so much is she is courageous. Like, if you hear her story, the stuff she's overcome is insane. But at the same time, she's like sweet. You just want to hug her. Like, she gives back like crazy. She's got a literacy program that she does in her home state. I mean, there's ways to stand up and be strong and be courageous, just like she's doing. And at the same time, be unapologetically you.
I love that. Lisa Washington also commented, I love what she wrote. She said, keep it simple and it will not be complicated. Just get it done and the fruit will come.
Yes. I mean, Lisa always has, for those of you guys who don't know Lisa, and she's coming on here, she's phenomenal. Keeps me sane most of the time, tries to keep me sane most of the time. But there's just so much great wisdom, that she's got. And I think it's been very helpful to me, but she's the one that was pushing me on my, I don't want to say alter ego, but my true self and kind of what that looks like. And that's where I came up with Dolly, because that's what came in my head. So that's crazy that you picked that quote, because I don't think you knew Dolly was my spirit animal.
I felt like I knew that you liked Dolly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I maybe not spirit animal, but I totally see it now that we're going down this road.
Yeah. Yeah. Because she's unapologetic. But the thing is, what I appreciate about her and my opportunity, she's so sweet. Like, she just seems like, I've never met the woman. Dolly, I'm open. I got some time in my calendar now if we want to get together. But it's, she's just so kind. Like, I've never seen anything where she just wasn't sweet. I'm not that I mean, I'm working on that part. That part I've got to work on. But she's, I love her. I just think it's awesome. And I think the more we can be courageous and stand strong in who we are, then the right people are going to show up. You've heard me talk about tribe and finding your people before, but the more courageous and strong we stand in ourselves and who we are as a person, then it's easier to kind of go out there and we're going to attract the right people.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go back to Dollywood now. It's been a while. I've been several times when I was little. Road trip.
So I have never been to Dollywood.
Road trip, Kristen.
I know. It's correct. I did go to, isn't it in Pigeon Forge? I did go to Pigeon Forge last year for karate tournament, but we did not stop at Dolly World. My kids have been. Max husband took them a couple years ago, I think. They're not big country fans, so I think it was a bit of a shock to their system to be immersed into the country scene like that. So they weren't born in the South like me, so they still got a little northern blood in them. We're gonna have to break them into Dolly a little bit more.
We have to go.
And My Worlds Colliding, I don't know if you saw it, but Dolly has been on a couple of Hallmark specials. So there was a movie with her in it on the Hallmark.
She's in. No, well, I don't think she's in it, but there's a super cute Jennifer Aniston and another, I can't believe I'm forgetting their names, and the name of the Netflix film. I'm going to have to send you that now, too, because it was basically this girl idolized Dolly. Oh. It's a Netflix movie. Now I got to find it. I know. Dang it. Okay.
All right. Well, now that I have Netflix, I have entered part of this quarantine situation, being somebody who does not watch TV. I now have Netflix. I did have to call my children, or my daughter and my ex-husband, to figure out how to turn on the TV because I didn't actually know. And apparently Apple TVs go to sleep on their own and you don't have to turn them off. So these are the things I learned. So when you've got somebody who doesn't watch TV or anything like that, these are basic facts that.
I love it. You're probably so much better for it, though. I don't really know that Netflix is the best thing around.
As we talk about, number 2, when we were talking about protecting yourself and your time, that does it for me. Because I don't watch TV. I will look up things. So I am educated on the news, but what I tend to do is if there's something I want to learn about, I'll go to the Google. I'll Google it, and I will look at varying sources. So if I'm going to look up something, I tend to look at a very conservative source and a very liberal source and try to gain my own understanding. So I try to stay away from just the harsh, let's face it, the media can be tough and they're mean. Yeah. And I try to stay away from that, which is why I gravitate to like Nicholas Sparks and Hallmark movies. But I just stay away from the news. And the same thing with social media feeds. I have hidden more people's feeds and updates than I know what to do with during this quarantine, because I have several friends who are fiercely opinionated, and I love people with opinions. However, I don't love it when they're not nice. And so, or when they're just trying to convince somebody. Like I'll see people get in arguments online and I'm like, you're not going to convince anybody. So it's just, I think part of protecting yourself and your time is figuring out what's worth spending time on.
Yeah.
And that, whatever that looks like for you is just something to keep in mind as we go forward.
Yeah.
Awesome. So those are the 5. Let me recap them. Finding your cause and passion project. Number 2, protecting yourself and your time with your calendar and self-care. Number 3, listing out 3 things that make you happy and doing more of that. Number 4, preparing and planning for the future. And number 5, always being courageous and standing strong in who you are as a person. Those are our 5 tips and ways to redeem 2020. So hopefully, anything else you can think of? Do we miss any? You can drop in the comments, Whitney. Are we missing anything?
I feel even better going through those again, like pumped up again going through those. Kim just did come in with a comment. She said you control the energy you allow in. Yeah, I love that too. Right? You got to. To me, that falls into protecting yourself, because protecting yourself and your time. Also, you get to choose who you hang around.
Right. And that's what people have to realize. It's a choice. I don't, friends, family, whatever, if they're not, my famous line, if it's not bringing you energy or moving you closer to your goals, you need to evaluate whether you're spending time on it.
Yep.
Or with it, whatever the case may be. Because those are the energy and our time we can't get back once we spend that. And we have to conserve energy as much as we can so we can make the most of the time that we have. I think that's a great point. Okay. I'm scrolling through, see if we missed any comments or anything.
I know I'm going to have to listen to Dolly Parton all day long.
Now I'm going to have to go back to Dolly. So if anybody knows how we can get Dolly on the show, she's probably a little busy. But yeah, if you haven't checked, we're going to look up some Dolly quotes. So that's your challenge for those of you guys listening. It's post us some Dolly quotes. Let's see what we can find some good ones related to one of these 5 things, because I'm going to guess my girl Dolly has got some wisdom on this. So whatever your favorite quotes are around any of these 5, throw them in the comments. I am a quote junkie, so you will see me post some of them over the next several days, but I think that's a great way to keep everybody moving and focused on these ways to redeem 2020.
Love it.
All right, marvelous Miss Mendoza, any parting words of wisdom for our friends here?
You know what? Let's read this Dolly quote again. Find out who you are and do it on purpose.
Find out who you are and do it on purpose. I think that is the absolute best way to kind of wrap up and figure out. So as we talk about 5 ways to redeem 2020, we covered all 5, but I think that's the best piece of advice to part with is find out who you are and do it on purpose. So thank you, Whitney.
Of course.
Thank you, Dolly. And thank all you guys for tuning in. So until next week, keep pushing past those limits, find out who you are, and do it on purpose. We'll see you later.